Hey, hello guys. Today we're going to talk about Exadata software maintenance, how to patch it, how to update all those weird components. So to start with, a few words about me. My name is Fred Denis, Australia, and as you probably already guessed from my accent, I'm a bit French as well. I work as an Oracle DBA at PTN for a few years now, from Brisbane then, and I started to work with Exadata since Exadata X2. It was a kind of funny story because I was working as a contractor for a big company with 3 letters in blue, but our clients really wanted to buy an Exadata, so they bought an Exadata X2, and then Big Blue came with Netezza, saying that Netezza was better than Exadata, and then my first job was to compete Exadata versus Netezza. This was a kind of fun because obviously I was more interested by Exadata than Netezza. Well, that's life, and Exadata won. It's kind of funny to start like that. So why is this talk? Because when you work with Exadata, one day someone will ask, "Whoa, we have an Exadata in the data center, right? Shouldn't we patch it?" And yeah, the answer is yes, definitely. And Oracle releases a bundle every quarter. And a bundle contains every patch for every component, InfiniBand switch, database server, Oracle grid infrastructure, and so on. And it is your task as a DBA to patch it. Or you can also ask Oracle if you have the platinum support, but well, we will all admit that it is very less fun. And why Demystify? Because Exadata is still considered as a black box, and I still hear a lot, well, I don't know if I can do that, this is an Exadata. But even if Exadata is an appliance, you will see that it is very, very close to what you already know. And I will first start with an important advice. Do not continue to the next step before failed step is properly resolved. It is not a step, because everything that needs to be redundant is, and it is offered to run different server. In the supported to run between servers, and with an step fails, resolve it. You will see on that it run on storage server for a week, and it was resolved an issue on a cell patch, and no one noticed anything, and we were still supported. So do not continue. This is a very important one. Just an introduction. Well, it's better to have a basic understanding of what is an Exadata before jumping in that patch procedure. There are few things to know. This procedure does not apply to ODA, which is Oracle Database Appliance. ODA is more a black box than Exadata, and the patching procedure is really, really different. I will use some vocab, DB node, which means database node, also known as compute node. This is where the database are running. And I will also use the term cell or storage server. This is the storage of the Exadata. And just for you to know, almost all the procedure will be executed as root. So, well, you will need a root access. If not, no need to continue there. Okay, so what to patch? First, we're going to patch what is written in red there, the storage server. Usually, you can have between 3 and 14 storage server, and we will use something named Patch Manager to patch all those cells, also known as storage server. We will also patch the InfiniBand switches, here in red, number 2. There is 2 InfiniBand switches, and we will also use something named Patch Manager. We will then patch the database server, then the operating system of those database server. We can have, usually you can have up to 8 database server, and Patch Manager will help us a lot as well. In 4 and 5, we're going to patch the grid infrastructure home and the database home with OPatch. This is not different from regular grid and database home patching you could do for any rack. We're going to patch the cells, the storage server, from the server DB1. The IB switches will be patched from DB01, which means the first database server, which is there just on U16, the number U16, the database server just at the bottom of that bottom blue square. And we will patch all the database server from the cell 01, which is the cell storage number 1. I will explain why a bit later on. I will use a tool I wrote myself, and that shows all the instances that are running, their status and where they are running. I first wrote that shell script for Exadata, but it is also working for all the Oracle 12c, not 11g, 12c grid infrastructure. It shows up like it's just a simple table clearly stating what is running. So that here you can see that you have data. Here it was 2. See all the databases that are running. DB1. You can have the version of it on it. Everything's 12c. A reference there, number 2, which reference is the Oracle. You will find the reference. We'll find all the nodes of your cluster, 4 nodes cluster. This is just to anonymize it. Here, all the status of the instance node. And here's the DB type. Here it is all rack. You can node or base. And that will be read if it's done by the database. So I will be using that because I like it because it shows everything in a very clear manner and in a super quick way. This was a very for databases, and here is what it looks like with a big 8, a full Exadata rack. I don't know, 30, 40 maybe database running there. Everything that is in green means that everything is going well. In white, it is a standby database. You can see the status open read-only. And in yellow and red, where you have issues, you have instance shutdown and abnormal termination. Well, you have a problem there. I will be using that a lot. You will see later. Just a quick word on that special files that are DBS group, cell group, and all group. You will be using that a lot with your super best friend, Deeply, but it's not very clear on who should create those files. Those files just contain the list of the server. DBS group contains, this is just a text file containing the list of the host name of the database server, cell group, the cells, and all both. Hopefully it is super easy. With the command IB host, you can see there a bit of cell, a bit of oak, and then you can easily create the DBS group. Same for the cell group. IB host provide all the servers that are connected to the InfiniBand switches, which means all. And you just have to cat both to join to all group. I also like to have an IB group one, so I use the IB switches command. It is specific to InfiniBand. Well, to list just it looks obvious, according to the name, the IB switch because we're going to need it to patch the InfiniBand switches. So it is easy and it is you to create them. Here, the main part of the job is not really the patching, it's the prerequisite. The prerequisites are really the key of the success in this exercise. If we switch prerequisite or do not do it properly, you're going to fail mostly for sure. I found many principles about that. The PPPPP principle, which stands for proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, and it is very true. I will just found just to say that be prepared and you're going to succeed very easily. That's the fail for sure. So the prerequisite is to download is quite, it is around every quarter. So every 3 months, Oracle releases a 10 gigabyte bundle containing all the critical patches, a new version of the operating system, etc., etc. So you will find on the well-known 88882.8.1 Exadata note the number of your server, and you can download all these 10 and upload on your Exadata all the 10 CD of the bundle. Then you just have to unzip it. That's it. Super easy. One point is it is important to unzip it as Oracle. Then you will avoid many permission issues in the future. Then we need some SSH keys. You can patch with no SSH keys deployed, but well, it is very easier to do that, to apply all these patches with SSH key passwordless authentication. You can remove it after the patch application if it pleases any security service or client or whatever. So as we're going to patch the IB switches from the DB1 server, we are going to deploy with that DKLI tool the SSH key of DB01 to the IB switches. So here we can see that the IB group file contains just the name, the host name of my IB switches. And then you can use that command dkli -k, and you will have to enter once the root password and you're done. Same here as which the database server from the server have to connect to the cell 0 and deploy the SSH key, or the same. DKLI is very useful there. And the third thing, we need to deploy the DB01 root SSH key to all the cell server, because we're going to patch all the cells from the DB01 server. It is highly recommended to upgrade opening activity, and well, it is not different with Exadata. Same OPatch as you would use on any Linux. So download the last OPatch. The latest OPatch version allow you as well to get rid of the annoying ocm.rsp response file. So it's for me it is mandatory. Just upgrade OPatch. Here is with 2 steps, you can easily deploy and patch all your OPatch on all your server just with DKLI. You just have to unzip it on the directory here on db_1, and then you're done. You just have to, you copy it, you unzip it, you check the version, that's it. I wrote a little blog on the PTN blog about that to explain how it works. It is very handy and super quick. Now let's jump in running the pre-checks. So here, nothing difficult. As we have unzipped the whole bundle, let's say in /patches October to 2016. This example has been made with this one a year ago then. And you just have to cd in the Exadata storage InfiniBand switch, for example, for The Exadata server InfiniBand contains the patch for the cells and the InfiniBand. Then we just have to use patch manager minus cells because we want to run the prerequisite on the cells. The cell group file is the file that contains all the cells, and the option minus patch check prereq to do only the prerequisite and not execute the patch. Be careful of that. Minus rolling because we want to do a rolling update on the cell server. We will discuss that a bit later, but I'm a big fan of the rolling fashion. Here, let's go with the. So it has to be launched from the cell 01 server because this server we will be using to patch the server. So here we will detail that a bit later. Patch manage 01 server because currently you most likely unzipped the bundle on DB01, but you will need patch manager. I'll copy it in a /tmp/save directory. We will talk about that a bit later. It has a purpose. And we will need to copy as well an ISO file. The ISO file is a kind of RPM repository used by Patch Manager. And then you have to connect to cell 01 in the tmp save directory. Go to the patch manager and do patch manager minus db nodes, the same dbs group files minus the pre-checks, and you have to specify the ISO repo, which is what we copied, and the target version. The target version can be found in the path where you will find the bundle. If you have some NFS mounted, you will have some error message. You can ignore them. We will mount it before patching those database server. And then we will do the IB switches prereq. So same, we just have to go in the Exadata storage server InfiniBand switch and the target version of the patch, and do patch manager minus IB switch minus upgrade IB switch precheck. Nothing tricky there. Just really carefully review the output, because if there's any issue, it's gonna fail. And now we can run as well the grid infrastructure precheck. Well, here nothing tricky. It is the same as with any other rack you would do. It's an opatch, the minus OH, the Oracle home minus analyze. You may see some warning, check the log files. Usually it is patches that will be uninstalled during the patch because they won't be useful anymore. It is the same patch pre-check, a lot about that. Patch pre-check, check conflict, and check is the same as the regular. Same for the OGVM, because when you patch Oracle Home, you need and the Java virtual machine. Same. To do a ls inventory minus all nodes and save it somewhere in case of, and to compare, just as a reference, and to compare as that what we are going to have at the end of the patching. An important prerequisite before the cell storage patching is time. The recommendation 8 hours before starting the storage server patching. But well, personally, we had issues with a very long cell patching, a very busy one. And then Oracle recommended us to set it to 24 hours. So I would recommend you to set to 24 hours. There is no harm done between 8 and 24 hours. So set it to 24 hours and you will have a better patching later on. So here is a procedure. You just have to set it for every disk group. Here is an example with data set attribute to 24 hours and you're done. Now let's start with the cell patching. As I mentioned before, all is root. There is no compromise on that. It is root and that. No way to use another user. A cell takes around 1.5 hours to patch. This is when everything is quiet on the server. I experienced 3 more hours per cell patching on a very heavy IO loaded Exadata, which makes sense. But we were still able to patch everything even with a super heavy IO loaded Exadata. If you have any doubt, because 1.5 hours is quite long waiting for a cell to patch, you can connect on the console, the ILOM console. To check, you will see every message that happened, every reboot, everything. So you just have to connect to the ILOM IP and use that weird syntax start/sp/console, and then you will be able to see what's going on the cell. It may be useful to diagnose anything or just to be really sure that everything is going fine and no one unplugged the plug. So a good thing to do before patching is to check the current version. So here, before jumping on that patch, be sure that all versions are the same. So use dcli -g cell group, always the same. You could get connected -l as root and use the image info -ver, and you're going to have all the version. Keep that somewhere. It is going to be useful later on. Then how to apply the patch running manner means that you're going to patch everything online. I've tested it extensively. It works perfectly. IO loaded Exadatas. I reset there. Usually hours, but it may take hours. You can also an option to see, honestly, well, it's up to you. If your Exadata is able to send an email, to send you an email, after you will receive an email after each cell patch. So here, you just have to go in the correct directory, initialize the patching with reset force clean. I used to redo a quick pre-check, but this is my style. I prefer to double check because usually when I do the pre-check, first it is 3 weeks, 1 month before applying in production. So I prefer to run it again to be 200% sure that everything is good. You can avoid this step. No worries, this is just a personal. And then you can launch as no-up, or if you have screen installed, use screen. By default, screen is not installed in Exadata. My bad. I don't really know why, but use something to run it in background. So patch manager -cell, and you go with a rolling option. At the end of that, then if you have, let's say, 14 storage server times 1.5 hours, you will have 22 hours of patching. If it lasts 3 hours because your Exadata is heavy, you're going to have 40 hours to wait, but no worries. Just tail -f, so no-up or patch manager.out file, and just wait. No one will notice anything. You will be able to patch yourself 100% transparently. And at the end, you just have to clean up. It cleans up all the log files and stuff like that. Also want to apply it in non-rolling manner. Rolling manner means, so it also means that you're going to patch all the cells in and going to be very fast at you stop everything. Say you want to do that, you have to stop your cluster. Each node, stop the cells. You can do manually on it, use dcli, apply the patch basic command. You just remove the minus region and you're done. So if you do that, last the time of one cell, because everything is going to run in parallel. Let's say 1.5 hours plus 30 minutes to stop and start everything. So basically, you should be able to patch all your cell in 2 hours, let's say 3, to be comfortable. The thing, personally, I do not see any reason to do that offline, because as I said before, it is 100% online. And if you have an issue, it is supported to run different versions. So, but well, it's up to you. Same command, just check that all the versions are the same. Usually it works pretty well. We had few issues, it happens, but as I stated before, go for rolling. If anything goes bad with a cell does not reboot or something like that, just stop it, call Oracle support, and you will finish later on. Secondly, we're going to patch the IB switches. So where patching an IB switch takes around 45 minutes, it looks, we patch those IB switches for 1.5 years, and it is almost always 45 minutes. Everything has to be executed as root. It is 100% online operation. You cannot do that offline, which makes sense because no IB switch means no connection between any server. It's going to be a bit weird. So same here, go for rolling. Check the version of each IB switch before the patch. Just go use dcli as well with that little IB group file I created before, and just do the version command on the IB switch, and yeah, you're going to have the version. Keep it somewhere for reference. Here, you just have to apply the patch. Correct directory, Exadata storage server, and then same here, go with no help or Scream if you have Scream. Be sure to get connected on DB01 because this is the server we use to deploy the SSH key. So 1.5 hours later, both of your IB switches are going to be patched, and then we will be able to check the version as well and check that everything went fine. Nothing tricky in there. We have not much issue. It works pretty well. Now we are going to patch the DB nodes. So same here, everything is good. Patching database node hour. So here's a little trick use. It is not possible to patch from a database node that will be patched, which means this database node is going to be the update. It is an OS, an operating system update, basically a YUM update of the database server. So as it's going to be restarted, rebooted, you cannot start it from. You cannot start the patch from a database node that will be patched. So the official way to apply this patch in a rolling manner in the Oracle documentation and support is to hang tight. Start the patch from the database node 1 to patch, let's say, all the other nodes. So let's say you have a full rack patch from node 2 to node 8. Once you have done that, you have to copy patch manager and the ISO file to an already patched node, let's say node 2 or 5, and then start the patch to patch the remaining node, so node 1. Honestly, this doesn't make sense to me. I still haven't understood why Oracle recommends to do that. This is why I use a cell server to start the patch, and then I can patch all the database server in one patch manager session. It seems really more clever to me. I do not break any rule because it's just not possible to start a patch from a database node that will be patched, which I don't. And we are doing that for 1.5 years on 6 Exadatas, applying the PSU the bundle every 3 months. So I will definitely go to, I won't say the non-official way, but my way. So here, when I copy and the ISO file, which PM repository, I use /tmp because, well, /tmp exists on hundreds, and I know that the little trick is there's a job on the cell server that purges that /tmp on a regular day. There's a documentation, I point it that. Then the biggest file, db.update.zip, which contains the db.update.sh scripts, which is the scripts that really do the patching, could be deleted. And then let's say you do for the prerequisite 3 weeks before you're going to do your real patch. Then you copy everything /tmp, and when you go to apply the patch in the real production, you're stuck because that file has been removed. Then there is few workarounds. So you can copy again patch manager and the ISO file just before you apply the patch. You can do that. Copy patch manager and the ISO file outside of /tmp. Well, I really do not recommend doing that. The storage cell is an operating system really dedicated to the storage server, so I won't dare putting anything outside of that. But there is something that is written in the documentation that the directories we save in the name are ignored in this purge. This is why I create a /tmp/save directory, and then I put my patch manager and my ISO file in it. Then I'm protected from any purge. Here, same as usual, I use dcli to check the version of all my database server. Here I have 4 with that version. Image-info -ver, which is the official command to know that. dcli with that dbs group file as well. This is how it's gonna work. For example, this is my starting status. Everything is up on every node. Then here, before applying the patch, we need to amount every NFSs. So here is a command we use to just amount the NFSs. It is the same, it has to be done. You won't be able to start the patch if one NFS is still mounted. Same as for the cell, I used to redo a pre-check step to be super sure. And a little trick there is be sure to be connected to the cell node 1 directly. Because as the DB01 server is going to be rebooted, if you connect from any server, a jump box to DB1 and then to cell 01, you're going to be disconnected when DB01 will be rebooted after his patch, and then you will lose your screen with a disconnection and you will freak out. It happened to some colleague. So connect directly to cell 01 server. So here, usually you should have done 4 sources. You do not have to copy. It should have been done, but you copy it in /tmp and just know up patch manager and you're done. So in a running manner, you just use the patch manager node. You use the DBS group. Again, the real command to start the patch is minus. You specify the ISO RPM, represent the patch, the target version minus rolling. And then you just have to wait. Every node will be patched one after the other. And if you not, it should be 8 hours on a running manner. A non-running manner, patch manager will patch all the nodes as well. It's going to be quicker, but you need to stop everything. Same here, it's up to you. I'm not a big fan again of the non-running, but it's a kind of process window maintenance maybe, and risk mitigation. Because imagine your database 1 does not restart due to the patch, and you are patching 8 database nodes in parallel, you're going to be in trouble. Here, after the patch, let's check the post-patch version. So same, decli, etc. You know it now, and just to check. Well, as I say, it's also a good time after the patch to use the test script I showed before, just to check that everything is up and running as before the patch. You may have any surprise. Imagine one database or one instance does not restart. You will know it very quickly. After that database server, we can patch the grid infrastructure. So well, here, it's like a standard regular rack, I would say. So patching a node takes around 30 to 45 minutes. It may be longer depending on the number of instances you have to stop and restart. You have to manually patch each node one after the other. There is not yet maybe patch manager to orchestrate everything. So you have to do it by yourself. I use the rack status script to check if during the process, if everything is up and running, the patch has to be executed as root. It may be parallelized except the node 1, which means that you can patch the node 1, and once it is done, you can launch on all the other nodes manually. So open 7 PuTTY session and launch your patch in parallel. So, well, here we will use Opatch Auto, so do not stop anything. Opatch Auto will take care of the stop and restart everything for you. I used to save use all nodes. Be sure to the end to be sure that you start with a very clean situation. I would advise to not proceed if you don't have the same checksum before, because you may be in trouble. Just for information, if you have half a cluster, which was an X4, and you add half a rack, which was an X5 in the same rack, you may have different checksum. It happened to us, but well, it is a bit rare. After that, here is the procedure for the patch. Then you just go to the patch directory, Opatch Auto apply, and just the -OH to specify the Oracle home of your grid infrastructure. You may find some warning there. It may most likely do because Opatch just want to warn you that it's going to roll back some future useless patches. So just check the log files. You can verify it and should be good. Then after that, let's do another patch inventory just to check that all the checksum on each node has been apply the patch on one node. You have to do that on every node, one after the other or in parallel. It all depends on the outage, on the window maintenance you want to have on all your instances. So here, just a word on the grid of Apache, how to mitigate the downtime. So a good way to mitigate the downtime, as specified in the Oracle documentation, is to have just 2 exadatas, the exact same, one for the production with the primary instances and one for the standby. And then you can just switch over, apply your patch, and you're done. Well, we will suppose that this is not our case, and we just have 1 exadata with all the production instances. When you patch the grid infrastructure, all the instances running on the node you will patch will be stopped 30 to 45 minutes. It is quite a big outage. How to avoid that? Here is, well, let's say a graphical representation of what happens when you patch a DB server GI in the grid infrastructure. It is because when you patch a DB server, The DB server, everything is stopped on that. When you patch a grid infrastructure, everything that runs on that infrastructure grid is stopped. So here is what happened. Everything is up and running until everything is stopped. DB1, then DB2 and DB, then DB4, everything is back up. This is what happens. So a way to mitigate this outage or window maintenance, whatever you name it, is to use the Oracle services. With the Oracle services, if you add load balance services, you can just balance your service on the nodes that are not patched, wait for any session to complete, or if you have TFA or fast connection failover, and then no one will notice that you patched another node. You have non-load balance service, you just have to move those services and achieve the same goal. If you have no services, well, this is a good opportunity to use the super good feature. If you really can't or don't want, you may always find a workaround in modifying the TNS name .ora on the application server to redirect all the connection to a patch that stay up. Let's say redirect all your session to node 4, patch node 1, 2, 3. When you're done, redirect everything to node 1, and you can patch your node 4. You may mitigate a lot the downtime of both of these steps. The Oracle patching won't be super precise about the steps itself because it is the same as a regular one, but I will focus on how to mitigate the downtime as well. So when I say database Oracle Home patching, there is two patches actually. There is one for the database Oracle Home and was for the OGVM. So the DB Oracle Home patch has to be launched as root. And it has to be launched for every database Oracle Home you want to patch. There is no minus rolling option for that. You have to patch every node one after the other. For the OGVM patch, it has to be launched as Oracle, and it's going to patch all the database Oracle Home across the cluster. Hopefully this one is quick, because with this one, you will need a full outage. Here is how it goes when you patch and wash patching an Oracle Home. Here is the procedure, which just patch auto, apply, everything where it is, I would say, as usual. So when you patch an Oracle Home, usually it's per node. You do not have to stop anything, but you have to organize your patching one after the other. So you start per node 1, then you go node 2, everything is down, everything is down, node 4, everything is down. So basically everything that was running on DB01 is going to be down for 20 minutes, same for DB02, 3, and 4. And if you have 8 nodes, it's going to be longer. Then for the post-installation, you just have to start with cluster database equal false and do your data patch. Nothing weird here. So when DB1, for example, when you apply the patch on DB1, DB1 will be down for a short period. Then DB2, then 3, then 4, then everything is up. So you paralyze some post-installation steps. For the database, you can run 4 post-installation steps. But imagine you have 30, 40 databases. It's not going to be the same history. For the OGVM application, you have to stop the home node and run your Apache apply. So you have a whole downtime. Hopefully, it lasts a few minutes only. And then you have, it is the same. You have to restart the database with cluster database equal false to do your post-installation steps. So, and then you can apply your post-installation, then restart everything one after the other. This is quite painful and very long. There is hopefully a quicker way. This is what we personally use when we do this kind of patching. A faster way is to clone the Oracle home we want to patch. Let's say we have db_home_1 and we want to patch all the databases that are running on this one. So we clone it to db_home_2. Here are the steps, nothing tricky, is as usual. And we can apply the bundle and the OGVM on the new Oracle home. You can do that during your weekdays, during the day, when everybody is working, every application is working, because no one uses Oracle home. You have to do that on all your nodes. Then your target database home is already ready. So here is the situation with the new Oracle home. Everything here, database are running on database home, and we have one already patched, which is ready. Now, when you decide, you can switch the database to the new patched Oracle home. You do not have to do that to do all database all together, which is very, very handy. To do that, you just have to copy the init password file, which can be done before. Just have to update the cluster configuration, you restart the database, and you apply the post-installation step. You can do that one by one. It is very, very. Here is an example. We are going to switch database from db_home_1 to db_home_2. So we just have to stop db1, apply the post-installation steps, and restart it on db_home_2. And you can do that when you want with every database. Here is db3 and db4. This method is very, very good. And once everything has been switched to the patched home db_home_2, you just have to keep db_home_1 for the next patch. And in the next patch, you will apply the next patch to db_home_1 and switch everything back to from db_home2 to db_home1. This is very, very handy. Now, just a word on the timings, just to summarize everything. One cell in a running manner usually takes 1.5 hours, so times the number of cells. You have no downtime for the running downtime. In a non-running manner, you have roughly 1.5 hours to patch a cell, plus, let's say, 30 minutes to stop and start everything. So it means a downtime of 2 hours. I put the running manner in green because this is my choice. I prefer this one. Let's go with that. Seriously, no need to stop anything to patch a storage cell. For the IB switches, well, it is easy because there is no rolling available, so no choice. You have to do that in a rolling manner. It takes 1.5 hours. No choice over there. For the database server here, the rolling is roughly 1 per node. So the rolling downtime it can be close to 0 minutes if you make a good use of the Oracle services I talked about before. Just have to move your service to a node you won't patch. Then the user will still be able to work, and then you can patch your node. In a non-running manner, well, it's going to take 1 hour, but with a 1 hour downtime, you will have to stop everything, patch your database server, and restart everything. So it's the same. A rolling manner takes 30 to 45 minutes. if you make a good use of the Oracle service, it can be maybe not 0 minute, but very close to. And in a non-rolling, you will have a bigger outage. For the database Oracle home, well, rolling manner, it 10 minutes per node is for the post installation. They are quite long. If you rebalance the service before, it can be mitigated. The thing here is that if you have 30 databases sharing the same Oracle home, you won't be able to easily apply 30 post-install steps at the same time in parallel. You may work on automatize everything, but it is not super handy. If you have one issue, you will struggle debugging all the log files, and in the meantime, all the other databases are still down waiting for the post-installation steps. It happened to me. It is not comfortable at all. In a non-rolling manner, meaning I stop everything, it's going to be faster, obviously, but you will still need 20 minutes per database for the post-installation steps. And if you use only one Oracle home, once it is patched, you have no other way to restart your database without applying those post-installation steps. So if you have only few databases sharing the Oracle home, you can parallel that. If you have 30, 40 on big Exadatas, I won't recommend doing that in parallel. I definitely recommend the quicker way I showed. You can install everything on your weekdays and you move your database when you wish. You just have a 20 minutes window maintenance or outage for the post-installation script. I really recommend doing that. It is very, very, very better. Just because I am super nice and because I talked during 52 minutes on how to patch everything, and as we were doing that really oftenly, I created a script used by my team to do an action plan for everything. Here is some option. I can put it in text, in HTML, etc. Here is an example of the real life. I just use that script. Mine is the option is where I put that script. For example, this was a January 2017 bundle, and it's gonna generate everything for the cell patching, even the nzip, and all the commands to apply the patch, all IB switch prerequisites. There's an agreement done in it. The prerequisites, then team knows that it has already been done. And basically, I then took more than 15 minutes to just at the end saying that you just have to start that script, and finally, you just have basically to copy and paste the action plan, and everything is gonna go very smooth. It's the same for database server patching, etc., etc. I won't copy and paste everything, but everybody likes this script because basically we just don't need to have much things to do. Thank you very much. I hope you're going to patch many Exadatas. It is a very exciting and very interesting experience. If you have any question, please raise it in the chat.